Man, I figured we wouldn't have like a crazy raw all in part of their fight in the very first chapter of it, just because you're not gonna throw everything for the characters' first meeting, just because I would assume if you have a fight like that, the characters are gonna have a history that sets up the emotion behind it of why they just get straight to business instead of that kind of calm unknown of like what the other character can do that the you would assume that most experienced fighters would have. But as it is, I'm trying to remember exactly. I believe I agreed to call her Antares or Antares or something like that. But she is one of the royal zodiacs and one of the strongest people in their country. And the first display of the fight, I really like the art on how the mangaka, like, she undoes her sword and she goes for the strike to go try and kill Geo. But her tail, the way her tail, you can see the normal details, and then it kind of like fades out to where it looks like it's just one solid blur of color, and then eventually just the color starts to just disappear. It just gives her such a speed factor. I really like when the mangaka when any mangaka does a unique style to depict something going on within their series. But Narade was able to see her, like, throws a rock just in time to where it hits her her sword handle and causes her to miss her attack, to where Narade just goes and grabs her. It's a very just short paced, very fast movement of what was going on. And that one dude from chapter one, I'm not even gonna bother trying to remember his name right now until he does something important again or has something he brings to the table, because this guy, I just don't really see any reason to think he's not going to be one of those characters who's just stuck at a lower power level, and he's going to, every single time two characters are going to fight, he's going to be that guy who we know how weak he is, but he's like assessing the fight and talking about it. But he's, oh man, I can't believe that this character was able to block that attack. Like, Narade blocked that attack. That character who, like, that attack before it did this thing, and he goes into lore about, like, oh, this character, he punched a hole through an entire mountain so they could put a train track through it, and he did it in one single second. And I don't know. It's just one of those things. This is the explanation guy for fights, because he's just gonna stand there and be a yapper. But as it were, she's strong. I really want her to be stronger than Narade right now, just because Narade, he's in that early part of the series, and since we switched to bi-weekly with the series as well, which personally I preferred, which should be better for the consistency of the arts and the mangaka's health. And I would assume that a little bit of the pace would get picked up in introductions of the crazier characters. And granted, we already had this character shown and teased earlier in the series. It would make sense of why we're going to actually get a display of her strength, and to where Narade is going to, I would hope, take a loss or a tie that was really hard fought, and we're not just going to have him defeat one of these characters who's hyped up to be one of the strongest early, because again, she's the first one that we're going to be seeing, and this is a character that I would prefer to be an obstacle over time, and to be somebody that like, even if she's going to be a character that maybe becomes an ally later, and it's like, oh well, that way we can kind of say, oh, the tables are turned in a situation because we know this character's strength in a situation that looked lost otherwise. Who knows? I'm really looking forward to how that interaction is going to go, or where this character is going to go down. But I would say that it's not looking like Narade is just going to go through the fight, because there's a moment in the chapter to where the other dude is going to go after Geo, and he's just like, hey, nope, if you move at all, I'm just going to come over there and one shot you. And when you have a moment like that, it makes sense of why, when we saw at the beginning of the series, he's able to take this guy out and it's not really that much of a problem. At this point, this dude is locked into, like, he was already at a loss when Narade wasn't putting too much effort into at the start of the series. It's not like Narade is leagues and leagues stronger than he was before, but even without assessing it, you can say that he is stronger than he was at the point where he beat this guy already. So if he just has to, blitz this dude and smash him into the dirt once, then that's all this guy really needs to like have going on for me to say that's probably going to be his role in other fights. Like the next chapter, if he's just standing there narrating and giving us like again, I wanted to be the next chapter, and we see Narade and Antares fighting, and this dude is just like giving us lore on her. We're giving information of stuff she's capable of, and we have one of those moments where he mentions like some crazy thing that she's done with her with a sword technique, and then she pulls out that sword technique, so we know what kind of level of danger that it's in, and that's going to be like stuff that would give this guy a value in the verse if he's going to tell us stuff that we need to know as events happen. But like no matter what, in a normal scenario, like I would assume that like if she wants to have like a regular fight, like she would just directly go for Narade, but she was going for Geo constantly and trying to get around him to attack her. So I don't think she's one of these characters who is interested in the idea of like, oh well, this will be a good fight and then I'll do it. She seems to be business first, and she like if she wanted to fight somebody, like in this scenario, if she got what she wanted, she would have killed Geo and then like gone for Narade. Well, no, she didn't want to kill her. She wanted to cut her legs off specifically. She wanted to make sure she couldn't run away. So it's like in a way that like she wants to deal with Narade rather than and then after she deals with Narade, she would go back to this, you know, crippled Geo and then go about what she needs to do next. I was trying to remember, and I was like, wait, no, she said specifically she was trying to cut off her legs. So it's in a way again that makes her. It's a cold manner, and you can't really call her a villain because she's just, you know, she's in a military. As far as she knows, this is the daughter of a traitor, and we don't know exactly what she has on her raid, but you know what exactly is going on with there. That's still quite whatever question mark is up with that. But she's again she's in a military position, and what she thinks is probably not like what she has been told is probably not the case. Rather, whatever happened before is probably not actually what went down that got the Dragon King killed. Or Dragon, was he Dragon? I think he's Dragon Emperor, right? I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it was Emperor, not King. I'd have to go back and look. Is it mentioned in this? I'm trying to remember specifically in this chapter if it's mentioned. I'll kind of cruise through and see if it's brought up. Either way, I don't think it really matters because this one is going to be more so the addition into going into their fight, or not the addition, the entrance into going into their fight, and to really kind of set the tone of what these guys are going to be whenever one of these Royal Zodiacs show up, and what the actual dangers going on are. Because on top of where she's at, in terms of power compared to Narade, I don't imagine that she is anywhere more say than like in the middle of the Zodiacs. There's no way that she's like at the top. I'd say the best that she is probably placed is in the middle. And once we get something like that, if we say like her and Narade, you have a very hard fought fight and they tie, or like it's very clear that Narade knows that if he continues he's going to lose and he has to leave, and then it's like, oh yeah, she's in the middle, then we know anybody above her is going to be a hard loss for Narade in the current situation. And I know he has this ability. We don't have a direct explanation on what it does. We know it seems to just make him evolve and get stronger, but we don't know. We have no idea the actual details, and we don't know the extent. And you could say that he could get stronger during the fight, but I don't imagine that if he's fighting people that are way above him, he's just going to be able to buff his way naturally through all of them, unless maybe that's how he works. We don't know. Other than that, I thought the chapter was really good. It's a really fast to read chapter because there's so much general action going on and a lot of quick paced movements. Geo is like, she's just making sure that she's just going to hide and she's not going to be in a danger, like a little bit less danger, just because I would assume their attacks might just hit her by accident, because we know how big her slashes are, and unless he moves her way further away from wherever she's at, I would assume that, and I assume that's what's going to happen. But like I said, it would be most likely the case in reality of just the bad luck of the draw if she just does these massive slashes that she did in the in that port town. But other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts about this chapter and what you like. Who do you think is going to win in this next match? I love the art in this manga. It's always looking really clean. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.